Okay, welcome back. We're in Matthew chapter 28, but we're also in Mark chapter 16, we're in Luke chapter 24, and we're in John chapter 20 because we're looking at all the stories and putting them all together of the resurrection of Jesus Christ. I've made reference to some of the specific details that John tells us that are left out in the Synoptic Gospels. You know, we've just finished looking at the passage in the first part of Matthew 28 where Matthew gives the salient details, and if you didn't have John's Gospel, in fact, if you didn't have Luke's Gospel, you can make some wrong assumptions. Just always have to be careful in thinking that just because one verse follows another, that it's chronological or that it happens, minutes after what happened in the previous verse happened, okay? That can be a mistake. So, we're going to go back now to John's Gospel, and just to read these events as John records them, because you'll see that he affirms what I have been suggesting all along here as to the true chronology of Sunday morning on that first Easter. Okay, so let's take a look in John chapter 20 and verse number 2. Remember, Mary went there when it was still dark, John said, and found that the stone had been rolled away. She didn't go inside. She ran back and got Peter and John. So verse 2, so she ran and came to Simon Peter and to the other disciple whom Jesus loved and said to them, they have taken away the Lord out of the tomb and we do not know where they have laid him. See, again, she hasn't seen any angels yet. She hasn't seen Jesus yet. So Peter and the other disciple went forth, and they were going to the tomb. The two were running together. And the other disciple ran ahead faster than Peter and came to the tomb first. And stooping and looking in, he saw the linen wrappings lying there, but he did not go in. So John was the faster runner of the two. And then Peter gets there. So Simon Peter also came following him and entered the tomb. Peter's always a little bit, more, or less cautious and more apt just to stumble into things. And so he goes right in that tomb, and he saw the linen wrappings lying there, and the face cloth, which had been on his head, not lying with the linen wrappings, but rolled up in a place by itself. I don't know why Jesus took time to do that, but apparently he did. So the other disciple who had first come to the tomb then also entered, and he saw, now listen to this, and believed. Wow. Why did he believe? I told you this because he saw the empty cocoon. They knew it is supernatural. Jesus has been risen from the dead. Verse number 9, for as yet they did not understand the scripture that he must rise again from the dead. See, that was the convincing proof. His body hasn't been stolen. Verse number 10, so the disciples went away again to their own homes. That's Peter and John. You know something else I could tell you? There could have been another disciple or another disciple. There could have been, more than just two. It's just that we found that these guys don't always tell us everybody who was there. Okay, but at least there was Peter and John. From that we're sure. And that is only told in Luke's gospel, and not exactly as is told in John's gospel. So they go home, again, verse number 10, but now listen to verse number 11 of John chapter 20. But Mary was standing outside the tomb weeping. And so as she wept, she stooped and looked into the tomb. And she saw, here it comes, two angels in white sitting, one at the head and one at the feet where the body of Jesus had been lying. I think that indicates more than just the fact that there was a slab there, or a floor of the tomb, and they just happened to be sitting where the head of Jesus would have been and the feet of Jesus would have been had the body still been there, but there was this big pile of linen wrappings strewn all over the place. No, the empty cocoon is there. There's an angel at the head, an angel at the foot. And this is when Mary and perhaps the other women have their vision of the angels. Okay, this is when the revelation comes that Jesus, has risen from the dead, when they see the empty cocoon and they see these angels. And they said to her, this is verse number 13, woman, why are you weeping? She said to them, because they have taken away my Lord, and I do not know where they have laid him. She's still, confused on that issue, even though she's seeing angels and she's seeing the linen wrappings lying there. And when she said this, she turned around and saw Jesus standing there and did not know that it was Jesus. So she's apparently in the tomb. she stoops in, she looks in the tomb. That's when she sees these angels. And maybe she was so, maybe it was so dark that she's not able to see the cocoon and have that realization of, the fact that the body's evacuated the cocoon. She hasn't put all that together yet. She just sees the white wrappings there, and she's still at the outer edge of the door of looking into that tomb. And so, verse number 14 again, when she had said this, she turned around and saw Jesus standing there and did not know that it was Jesus. And Jesus said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping? Whom are you seeking?" Supposing him to be the gardener, she said to him, "Sir, if you've carried him away, tell me where you have laid him, and I will take him away." Okay, so John is piecing it all together in a way that Matthew, Mark, and Luke, just didn't do. And it's helping us to understand the chronology of how things happened here. And here's where it gets very cool. In verse number 16, Jesus said to her, "Mary." And she turned and said to him in Hebrew, "Rabboni," which means teacher. Okay, so now she realizes, oh my goodness, he's alive. And you can imagine the swirling of the emotions going through her head at that point in time. She grabbed him, and she was stooping down. I don't know if she grabbed him and embraced him or grabbed him at his feet, according to John's gospel anyways. But Jesus said to her, "Stop clinging to me, for I have not yet ascended to the Father, but go to my brethren and say to them, I ascend to my Father and to your Father, my God and your God." And so that gives us some insight into something that has happened as a result of Jesus' death and his resurrection. Now, these disciples of Jesus, who were believers, now became members of the family of God. It's great. I'll see you next time.
HeavenWord 7 is made possible by the financial support of viewers like you. Thank you.